This is day number 301 of the Arukh HaShulchan OC. If you would like today's shir, it is sponsored by my good friend Chavrusa, Reb Daniel Kislin. Book friend going back for many, many years, almost 50 at this point, maybe 50 actually. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming shir of Arukh HaShulchan OC, please contact me directly. We very much appreciate it. Probably tell I'm not in my usual location, away somewhat for Pesach, so this may be where I'm recording from for the next couple of weeks. So today we are doing Siman Reish Ches, Sif Tez Zayin through Siman Reish Ches, Sif Yud Zayin through Sif Chav Gimel. So the Arukh HaShulchan is trying to explain the Beis Yosef, and he said that last time we learned that the Beis Yosef was talking about a case where they were, even though they're with their husks, the grains were cooked so much that they became crushed and glued together. And in that case, even they're cooked whole, they could burn main mizonos. Based on this, I heard that people make a mistake. And they say, whenever they cook our grupinas, whatever that is, and they don't stick together, to the point that they don't cling together like glue. The toes gomor. It's a mistake, absolute mistake. That's first of all, that's only that you should need such a glued condition. It would only be required where you use the whole whole kernel with the husk, the lobachilkan, not where you split it. Kigrupina shalano kabur v'divrei Rambam. V'chein lobachil b'kachon kapro grouping shalano. It also wouldn't apply where you crush them like our pro grouping. Besides that, it's clear that there's a small mistake in the Beis Yosef. That which he said that if you cook them in the mizonos, that if you split them, it's mizonos, because then actually it fulfills the parameters. The Mishnah also writes that it was a toast. Because it's the evidence that is that he's copying the Rambam's language, as he normally does. Why would he change his words for naught? Why did he not copy what the Rambam writes? Since it must be that the ches, which is the word shechel kon, they made a mistake. Told the shin hashani shel kon, and they inferred that it was the second shin in shel kon. But the din which came out inadvertently from the stove satfus, when you cook the grain whole, and they clung to each other, it's also true. If they're clinging, it must be that somehow the husk came off, and therefore, otherwise it wouldn't be glued to each other. It's the same thing as if he had split them or pulverized them. And he brings down the brackets other people right there. It's a mistake. Noodles. Oh, farfel, you know what that is. Oh, kreplach, you know what that is. Oh, gersten or greifin, don't know what that is. Oh, haberna, don't know what that is. Oh, pel grits. I feel marmin by mine kidneys. Even they put in types of legumes, arbis, which is chickpeas. Beblach, I think it's peas. Tapre damasha curry kartoffel, potatoes. They might be able to say my groupiness and melaksin, they're more than the groupiness or the noodles. So we nevertheless make a very mizonos on this tafsha. But in terms of bracha at the end, that you have to reckon. If you ate from the grupinas or from the noodles, enough for pras or not. You call tavshil. The Zahu Shloisha or Arba Kabesim, 3 or 4 Kabesim just from the noodles alone. Then Mavarach HaMicha. Lav, and if not, no, sorry. That's my mistake. That would be the kazayas, and the amount of time it takes to eat a pras, which is 3 or 4 Kabesim. Sorry. Then you make HaMicha. Lav, and if not, Mavarach Baran Foshos. Then Chiluk Ben is Dabkur group because of the kartoffel, potato, whatever else is in there. Then Chiluk Ben is Dabkur Grupinas Zer or Zer doesn't make a difference if the Grupinas stuck to each other, or Lonis Bagu, or they didn't stick to each other, Ben Ismachu, if they crushed, or Lonis Machu, or they wouldn't crush. Nizdabku Ben Ismachu, when they clung and were crushed, Afilu Bishlan Shleimim, Kim you cook them whole, Birchasam Borim Mine Mazonos, the bracha is Bore Mine Mazonos. V'dan, you should know the Retzka or Grika, and these are not considered to be part of the 5 species. Birchasam Tamid Hadama, the bracha is always Hadama. And these are our equivalent, they would be quinoa, which is a Hadama. The most people know this. Kol Zeh Shenosnu HaGrupinas, Aloksim Chule L'Shem Achila. They put these grupinas or these noodles for the purpose of eating. I'm Nasu Medevik Ba'alma, which I can't imagine with noodles. But Gabe Shamar claim they are subordinates to the other foods. So I did look this up. Groisin are greasing in Hebrew, which in English are groats, which are hulled kernels of various cereal grains such as oat, wheat, rye, and barley. So groats can also be produced from pseudo-cereal seeds such as buckwheat. So this is sometimes called bulgur wheat. I know from which you make tabbouleh. So I guess it's telling us that there are certain types of groats which are made from foods which are not from the Chamesha Saminim, which is the Dertzka or Grika. You test. It's clear if you cook a soup for a sick person, now, if you're a boring or for a healthy person, she could go in a zupa, but the main intent is for the soup. You put a little bit of these groats with debet ba'amot to make it thicker, or retain the tigos bazupa, or to give a thickness to the soup, or refuah, or you do it for the purpose of healing. Birchas HaShakel, Birchas HaShakel. Afil shokeh b'kaf hazupa misarbo is a grouping, and even if when you take in the spoon from the soup, you get some groats, havi tafel. It's subordinate. The bore graping the bottom. You separate the grape and eat them separately. The bore by priyadama, you make a bore priyadama. Kavachoma begrinka grouping, which is I think it's probably the Yekisha Grumkern soup. The aim Baruch Madama al Tavshish Grika, Elain Kane, Yesh Habe Grifin Bekavshil. Whatever the Grika is, which we said before, is not a proper grain. You can't make a bracha on it unless you can't make even a dome on it unless there are many graping in the dish. So Tavshil, the shame out graping. The intent of the dish is for the graping below shame mark, not for the purpose of the soup. V'choshke megrinka kasa. In a certain case by that, Shem Baruch Adama, below the Chish Baruch Shackle, not like those who make a mistake to make shackle. Chagavna, and that's the case, B'chomini Kitni also Tapuchi Adama with all other types of beans or potatoes. Tali Mao Kavanas Kavanasa, but Tavshil Zeh, depends what his intent is in this cooked dish. Imu L'Shem Hamor, if it's for the purpose of soup, or L'Shem Machal, for the purpose of the food. And brings that here in brackets of Taz, which it says is Tamur, so we'll skip that in any event. So it does turn out, I looked up what Grika is. Grika is indeed buckwheat. And buckwheat is not a wheat. It's called a pseudo cereal. And the bracha is on buckwheat, pure buckwheat, which I believe is called kasha in Yiddish also, is dama. Even though it looks like wheat, so it's kind of like our today's quinoa. We have some small groats by us. We call them mena grouping. They call mini grouping. Some of them are wheat, I think like wheat germ perhaps. Some of them buckwheat. Chasam Bori Pradama. You have to distinguish between the two of them in some way. Kilufim Marasai Domin so they're very similar in the way they look. Now can't certainly Josh Alayim Mahim Ela. If you have to ask, what are these? Because I mean I'm obviously Ches Hos Tav Shil, because it could make a dish. Yishar many kidneys from other types of legumes. And Yishor Shleim Tovim Mushon Mochaim, if they are as good and whole when they are cooked as when they are raw. Mevara Bori Piadama. Nismachula Game, if they're completely crushed. O She'enim Tovim Mushoim Techaim, but they're not as good cooked as they are raw. Mevarach Shakli make a Shahako. Mishabur says, "B'diavad, if you made Bori Piadama, then you got it." Hakal Shona. That's the end of the quote from the Ramah. Zeshchas and Yismachu Lagamri, that's that which you said, they're completely crushed. Kamras Yismachu, they're clean menukab, means when they're crushed through a tool with holes. She'ein derech hachilas and bekach, and that's not normally the way they are eaten. By us, there are also people who sift the beans. Nisharak marak av, there's only a thick soup, gezita arbis. Oh, shetochan makitnios, or you ground the legumes, or some kemach ma'achol, and you made from the flour a food. You can't get rakamarkam. It's also only like a thick soup. If you crush them with a spoon, that's the way people normally eat them. And there's substance in there. You make a bar piyadama on it. So too it's with potatoes, mashed potatoes. Casa bulba, I guess mashed potato. Or you fry the mashed potato in butter or bishumah or fat. Because in so the Ram writes about fruit which has been crushed by sunken Isa and made like a dough. Brachas not beer chas and 8. So the Brachas 8 chas and reish beis. Ayin sham chaygam the chomei tabshit. And this is true about all sorts of cooked dishes. But you should know the ishmak ezen komas mean tabshit kohen lezeh mon. Okay, there's a certain type of cooked dish is called mon. Ve'hem mukotim. They're gathering most of kites for boka in the summer, early in the morning. Mehatal from the dew. I guess it's called mon, like the moments we gather from the dew. So they dried. Maritza grouping. They look like grouping. They look like gross because of shahako. The bracha shahako enemies they're not types of seeds. There's odmin tav shila. Yes, it's mamish. It's like mon. So it's not growing from the ground. I don't know exactly what it is. Anyway, v'yesh odmin tav shila sili befabrikin. There's another kind of type of cooked dishes made in factories. Because it says saga, a malgulim. So whatever this is, they're round, velona dili mati bottom nasim. I have no idea what they're made from. They didn't have the FDA to make sure people do the ingredients back then. Chapal, oles, shu rice, shu dochan, shu hears, which is commonly translated as millet. Avshiesh shu stop with those not sure about this. Sometimes they say the opposite. Achachshan is bar davar shekenu, but now it's clear that's the case. For ancient Savi davar, there's no doubt about it. Mishnayim and Zoran, they're both types of seeds. For Rosh because of Shnei Tiyah Adama. And the Baruch should be Adama Kmal Kal Zoran, like all other seeds. But no, the rabbi said rice is first Mizonos and then Benefashos. The Neshu Mazbia, because it satisfies, so it alev and makes the heart feel that it has eaten a significant dish. Amr Kaili and Bracha Rishon, they said she was Bracha Rishon. Kain Alpha Pas Merozin made rice bread. Mevarch Berin Mizonos, make it with Mizonos. Achra Berin Nefashos, and afterwards a Berin Nefashos. That's how Rosh Hashanah Adin came. Rosh the same thing about millet. Shnamu must be of a way also satisfies and makes a person feel that he has eaten a substantial meal. Ain't king das a riff from the Rambam did not pass away, but don't have it right. But rather that millet is like all other seeds, and it's hadama also beginning. Chabes. The people like kosisor is somebody who choose raw rice. He makes hadama. It's not somebody who choose raw grain. Then bishlo. But if you cooked it, oshetochen was saying you ground it, made from bread. Morakla bore mine mezonos. Vachakra bore nefashos. And zonos and bore nefashos. Customers have been on mother's sign. Bishlo actually smaich. if you cooked it until it got crushed, ad kamashano kavanazon, it means to say, you loaded smach, if it didn't get crushed, came into ochlam shleimim, since you're eating them whole, lo adifi mechidim shleimim, then no different than whole wheat, the low mahani hu bishul brachas mazanis, which does not degrade the bracha to does not upgrade the bracha to mazonos. Brachas adama kosh masif test. Achinami kenu. So this rice, which got completely uh, uh, crushed together, according to the Ramah, would be hadama. Miu lo dami, but it's not comparable. Though it's kain derechel because this way rice is eaten. Below dami l'chit, it's not like grain, but that's not the primary way to eat it. Chen kasab kol b'shemari. Chen yadasa bin rabbi says he regarded, but it's tomi b'chos b'rim mazonos. The brach is always mazonos by rice. But nearly the gam near the gam kamanos Rabbi Ramah, and I also think that the Ramah says Arukh HaShulchan, and I also think the Ramah and Mismach legamri. It's not that, but it's completely crushed. Actually, that's the point that no kernel of rice stands on its own. It's cooked so much, it became bloated, like it does when it's very well cooked. And this minhag oilam, no, I'm not sure I made this. I said this correctly before. Let's say it over again. Ramah says that it's only if it's cooked till it seems that Ramah says only if it's cooked till it's crushed up, then you make mazonos, but not if it's whole rice, even if it's cooked. But that's not. So we're going to say that's not true. The rice is eaten as whole rice even when it's cooked, and that's the primary way of eating it. So he says that also Ramah doesn't mean that it has to be completely crushed to the point that each one doesn't stand on its own, but it means it has to be cooked very well. And that he says, in other words, that each rice is no longer, each grain of grain, I said currently before, each grain of rice is no longer shriveled, but rather is bloated, which is the way that rice gets. And now he says, I believe this is the custom of the world. Anytime the rice is well cooked and broken by mazonos, this is the primary halacha. The halacha writes that the ikar ladina is the Ramah, like the Ramah, that only if they're crushed to make them mazonos, but if they're whole, make a bar priyadama. But the Prima Gadim seems to say that that's only where they're completely whole, but if the husk was removed, which is the only way which we get rice, as far as I know, this is not, then it's not considered to be shleimim. It's not considered whole, even according to the opinion that the Ramah is be taken more literally. You would make a bar mazonos, or to know the wild rice is not really rice, and therefore wild rice you make hadama. He brings down in the brackets here, the Rabba, Sipkat, and Tessi. Sigal Ramah, Gamal, Abram Sikhan, Yud, Yazai, Tokain. They both have problems with the Ramah. Kain Agra, Batas, Sikhan, Chaz, Nizo, Ufin, Yazai, Now, Kavanah, Ramah, and the Smach, Gamri, but they all have the problem with the Ramah because they took the Ramah more literally. Arukh HaShulchan says, I don't have that problem with the Ramah because I hold that the Ramah is talking about also when it's not completely crushed. Chav Gimel, Val Orashin is Bashel, on rice which is cooked, Kasar Ben Yosef Zayin, Bushaloya Murim Davar Acher, it shouldn't be mixed with something else. Or is about rice by itself, which says it's okay if it's the majority, that's the same halacha. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, every man a Tavshil, Acher, if you could mix it into another cooked dish, Tavshil Acher Ularov, another cooked dish is the majority. The Baruch also Tavshil make the bracha like the other cooked dish, Akan Lashon. All that was quote from the base. Yosef, and it says, Klomar, the Afagad, the Bechosim is Zoinos, even though the brother's guys, Komo, Ko, Chameshus, Mine, Dogon, like the 5 species of grain. The Kom, nevertheless, anything else him. It's not the same halacha, nevertheless. The Ilu Bohem, Akshay Muat, by them, even though the minority bet Tavshil in the cooked dish, the Baruchim, Barim Nizonos, make Barim Nizonos, Kosh Kosam, Sibu Gimel, Abba Ores, but rice, Shumiuta, if it's a minority in the dish, who brought the Gavi Shara Tavshil. It's null and void relative to the other cooked dishes shavakdera in the pot. But there's also a shortcoming in rice. I feel negative shari tavshilin, even relative to other cooked dishes, not just the 5 species of grain. Maybe sifu daled nizbar. See, that became clear. The avogab the chamishis mina dogon, even the 5 types of grain. Actually, mitzvah even though a minority. Mevarchim b'ayim mizonos, make a b'ayim mizonos. Yekam kamrinyan alam yichya. And there's a micha being shiacham and kizayis v'chtei achilas pras ayin shah. You have to eat a kizayis in the amount of time it takes to eat a pras. Mishnah Perek B'chol Perek HaMilchala Omer Dores Migargaria. It says in Yerushalmi that rice is cause a person rice in, envelops. What do we mean? It's rags. You know, it envelops the taste of the taste of a thing. No, it's enveloped by the other thing. I'm sorry, rice is dragged behind. Doesn't drag, it's dragged behind. Here to rice when it's mixed with wheat. Nasa b'tamaka chitim atzmam. It takes on the taste of the wheat. Zeshin, that's we learn. The challah, I'm sorry, paradigm of the challah. Ha'osa isam nachitim, so he makes grain from wheat, umina orez, and from rice in yeshua tam dogan, it has the taste of wheat, of grain. Challah, you have to take challah to it. Pesach. Pasuk Rambam B'Magid Mishnah Apil Ein Machitim K'ne Kizayis K'neged K'Techias Pras. They say that even there isn't in the wheat, the grain, the wheat, K'Zayis Techias Pras. Nevertheless, Mishum Machitim Gorim was Orez. The wheat envelops and grabs the rice. And can do it in the also be al Micha. Arukh HaShulchan OC. The Rai and Rashba argue. It's Barbara Siyat Shmai B'Sir Tafel and Gimel. Chen Ein Lasos Kazem B'Zeh Ma'aseh. Therefore, you should not make a bracha achrona al michya if it's only with the syrup of rice. It brings that bracket time by Ram Sikon as well. We should have a Rambam, a Rosh, a Ramban, a Mishnah, etc. Okay, not something which you have to know, be irrelevant because it may require looking inside, which is not our derech.